South may very well be the worst division in the National Football League. You have two teams that took 2 L's, and you have the other two teams tied. So it's just kind of wild because, there's a lot of young talent in the division. There's a lot of veteran talent in the division. It's just not flashy at all. It's not a division that's going to knock you out of your socks. Let's start with the Jaguars. So the Jaguars playing the Commanders, it's just a game that you can't figure out how they didn't finish it. Wentz fumbled at midfield, threw a few interceptions. A few things happened, and the Jaguars just couldn't finish it. Trevor Lawrence struggled a little bit. He didn't put it right on a wide open Travis Etienne in the end zone. It's just the Jaguars. I don't know why they didn't run it more. Doug Peterson failed. Doug Peterson didn't call a great game. James Robinson and Travis Etienne were playing great when they got the ball. They were playing phenomenal when they had the ball. They didn't get the ball enough. What was it, 9 and 11? And they were running very well, very efficiently. Why didn't Doug Peterson keep running it with them? 42 throws, I believe it was for Lawrence. It's a little much. When you have two talented running backs like that, run. And when you could run the ball, when you're able to, keep doing it. Also, Doug Peterson, and, this offense in general, when they got in the red zone, they struggled. They struggled mightily. Lawrence missed the wide open. The Jaguars were going down the field like it was nothing. They didn't have an issue going down the field. They were having an issue punching it in. And, there was a time where it felt like the Jaguars had this game. Wentz throws a pick six, and it just feels like the Jaguars are going to lose. And they do. No, I felt like the Jaguars were going to win, and somehow they lost to Washington. Wentz had a very Wentz-like game. A lot of stupid mistakes, a lot of little mistakes, and the Jaguars didn't beat him this time. Wentz made sure it didn't happen, and interesting by the Jaguars, interesting by Doug Peterson. I don't think Doug Peterson had called a very good game at all. Not to throw with Doug Peterson, didn't have a good game calling. I think you should run the ball more, absolutely, when they're running that efficiently. Passing the ball when you got in the red zone, just there is not much creativity, and that's one of the issues with Doug Peterson. It's not wildly creative. He's smart. He's a good coach. He's a good motivator. He's not wildly efficient or great or wildly creative. It's just not what he is. So that's the Jaguars. Very interesting. Very interesting. The red zone offense was bad. They're going to need better coaching. Lawrence missed a few things, and it was just rough. So then you move on to the Titans. It was just a weird game. The Titans came out fast. Titans came out firing. And I actually thought it was going to be the opposite way around. I thought the Giants were going to come out quick. And then I thought the Titans were eventually going to come out the end and win it. It was kind of the opposite. The Titans came out quick, and then the Giants ended up coming out and winning it. And the Titans' run defense did not look very good. Playing Barkley, much an improved Giants offensive line, they could not stop Barkley. They could not get Barkley on the ground. Barkley had like 164 yards. That is not very good. Just wasn't very impressed. I was impressed a little bit with the pass defense. Not as much the run defense. Tannehill didn't play great all game, but when it mattered most, when he didn't play great, but he played okay, and especially when it mattered most, he made a really clutch throw, to the sideline, and not many quarterbacks can make that throw. Very few select quarterbacks can make that kind of throw, and he made it, and ultimately put the team in field goal position to win the game. So it's just a game like, how do you lose this one? Like, why couldn't you put this one away? Why couldn't you finish it? It just puzzles me. It's crazy. Is the loss of Harold Landry really that significant? Landry was one of the best pass rushers last year, and he was a good run stopper as well. So losing him, I guess that's going to be a big factor. But they do have Bud Dupree, Simmons. They have some good guys on the defensive line. It's just, are they really going to miss Harold Landry that much? I apologize for my yawning. But, yeah. Like, how do you not finish the game? It's just, it's just crazy. Tannehill did his part. The special teams didn't. It seemed like it was a very rough day for Mike Vrabel. Did not call a great game. Henry didn't even run for 100 yards. A few times Henry got hit. Just didn't look the same. There's a few times he went down, and he just went down way differently than I'm used to seeing him go down. He got put down a few times, pretty hard, and I'm not used to seeing that from Henry. So, is it really the downfall of Henry? I don't know. I don't think so. It's week 1. I think he will bounce back and have a pretty good year. Will it be 2020 like? I don't know. I don't think so. But then you move on to the two teams that tied. Yeah, the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. So let's start with the Texans. Davis Mills looked good this game. He made a lot of nice throws, and he is an up-and-coming quarterback. Davis Mills looked phenomenal. He made a lot of nice throws. A lot of nice reads. Good mechanics, good footwork, doing what he had to do. And, he did make some mistakes here and there, but nonetheless, he had a pretty damn good game. He even had a ball drop by one of his receivers on the third down play, which I believe was the opening or second drive. And Colts just got fortunate that the receiver just flat out dropped the ball. But the offensive line of the Texans looked okay. It's kind of a disappointing game for both sides. Texans were up 17-3. And the Colts were coming back into this game, trying to claw into this game. And, it was very stressful for both teams, for both sides. But the Texans' offensive line looked okay. Texans wide receivers made some plays. O.J. Howard, their new tight end, made some plays. Brevin Jordan had a few nice catches. This Texans team can be a little sneaky. I'm not saying they're going to be good, they're going to be great. But they're going to be sneaky, and they're going to squeak a few ones out. They almost did today versus the Colts, and they quite frankly should have. But the Colts find a way to claw in here. Had a very slow start. Couldn't get much going in the first 3 quarters at all. Score like 3 points, and right at the very end of the third, you start picking it up a little bit. And, you have the nice play to, you have a few nice plays to Ashton Doolin, a few nice throws to Pittman. And, that brings us to one of the points on the Colts side is that, they're going to need someone outside of Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman carried that receiver room yesterday. Or not yesterday, Sunday. It's just Pierce, when you're drafted that high, when you had a good camp, and the ball is right in your hands, Matt Ryan puts it in the perfect spot for you to just catch it, and you don't catch it. You just flat out drop it. It was right in your hands, and you couldn't catch it. You couldn't hold on. Doolin later in the game had the same thing. Back in the end zone, held the ball for a few seconds, and then the defender knocked it out of his hands, and ultimately it was incomplete. Those were 2 drop touchdown passes. So, missed opportunities by this Colts team. The Texans defense was actually flying around a bit. It was actually fun to watch this defense a little bit. Even though I'm a Colts fan, I love watching football, and I love giving teams credit where it's due. And this Texans defense was flying around. Stingley was everywhere. Defense just looked solid. The run defense didn't look very good. Jonathan Taylor and his offensive line figured something out towards the end of the game. Even throughout the game, he was getting a few big runs here and there. Jonathan Taylor. Pittman was Pittman. Very good game for Pittman, but he was a monster after that. It's scary. The group of pass catchers after Michael Pittman Jr. is very scary. So, this division is probably the worst in the NFL. And one last note for the Colts here. Matt Ryan, a lot of people not happy with Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan had a very good game. Matt Ryan, even though he threw an interception, had a few fumbles. A little pissed off about that, but Colts' tackle game was very bad. When you go up against the Jaguars next week, you're playing Josh Allen, Walker, a bunch of these talented guys. If the tackles play like they did this week, it's going to be another long game. Could be in for another 4 or 5 fumbles, or 4 or 5 turnovers. It was bad. It was bad. And that the tackle room needs to improve. Danny Pinner needs to improve. He needs to try and find something that works. Matt Pryor keeps on struggling. Put Raymond in. Raymond, I think there's a strong possibility Raymond starts like halfway through the third game. Pryor just didn't look great yesterday. Smith didn't look great yesterday. It was just a rough day in the tackle game. Tackles were eaten alive, and that's why Matt Ryan fumbled a lot too. So, this is the AFC South after week 1. You guys let me know what you think about this division. Is it the worst division in football? I'm going to go ahead and say yes. It's probably the worst in football. And, do you guys think, which team do you think is going to make the playoffs? Do you think the Texans or the Jaguars find a way to sneak in? Where do the Titans finish? Where do the Colts finish? So, you guys let me know what you think. Thank you for tuning in to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where your fans welcome. This is JDW signing off.